We're back at the Atlanta Botanical Garden, but this time we're diving into one of the most incredible plant events of the year, the Atlanta Orchid Show. And that's not all. After that, Nick from Rusty Exotics is giving us a tour of the Orchid Conservatory, where we'll see some of the rarest and most stunning orchids up close. Now, this isn't my first time at this show. A few years ago, this was actually the very first plant show I ever attended. I originally came just to pick up my order from Ecuagenera, but I ended up staying all day because it was just that good. And let me tell you, orchid collectors, they might just be the friendliest plant people on the planet. My first time here, they shared their best secrets on getting orchids to bloom and even hooked me up with the best spots for tissue culture supplies. And this trip, no different. Let's check out what the show has to offer today. No matter who you are, you've got to like this orchid right here. If the flower doesn't blow your mind, just check out that leaf pattern. This is a Bulbaphyllum, also known as a Venus slipper orchid, and it's straight up mesmerizing. I have one that gets almost black flowers, but check out this one at Atlanta Orchid Society's display. It looks like it was drawn with markers. But wait until you see this. This wild-looking plant is commonly called the rat tail orchid, and I'm officially obsessed. It comes from the tropical rainforest of Borneo, and get this, its leaves can grow up to 6 feet long. That's basically taller than me. And the flowers, they supposedly smell like cinnamon, but they were up way too high for me to find out. Plus, at $100 a plant, I wasn't about to risk knocking it over. If a 6-foot orchid is too much for you, check these out. Mini orchids. They're perfect for your apartment, your cubicle, or even your nightstand. And most minis only reach 3 to 6 inches tall at maturity. That's without the flower spike. And look at how these flower spikes have tangled together into a rainbow explosion of blooms. Still not small enough? Boom. These tiny orchids from Ecuagenera are so small, you could fit a whole collection in the palm of your hand. Orchids have such a wide variety, from the microscopic plants that don't even hit an inch to the towering giants that reach 25 feet tall. It's insane how different they can be. They come in all different leaf shapes, like this Peristeria alata, which we learned about in Nick's tour, or the Dendrochilium in the back here that looks like the native grass, to the Cattleya with their thick leaves. The flowers come in all different shapes and colors too, and we haven't even scratched the surface on these fascinating creatures yet. But no matter how different they look from one another, they all have a few crazy things in common. First up, orchid flowers are perfectly symmetrical. If you slice one right down the middle, which don't do that, each side would mirror the other exactly. That's some insane natural engineering. Second, every orchid has a built-in landing pad. It's called a labellum or lip, and it's usually that big flashy bottom petal that's basically a neon sign for pollinators. Some orchids even trick insects into thinking it's their mate. Yeah, that's a real thing, and we'll get to it soon. And here's the craziest part. Orchid seeds are microscopic. They're so small they float in the wind like invisible dust. But here's the twist. They have 0 nutrients. Unlike the seeds from corn or beans, which comes packed with food, orchid seeds are completely helpless. Unless they find a special mycorrhiza fungi to help them grow. No fungus, no orchids, period. Still haven't found an orchid you love? No worries. Ecuagenera didn't just bring orchids. They also brought aroids, Hoyas, and a bunch of other crazy plants that had me stuck here for an hour trying to decide what I wanted. I walked away with yet another Bessier, which makes 7 now. Someone stop me. An Anthurium rugulosum and 2 neotropical blueberries that I have no idea how to keep alive. But I'm gonna try. And yes, you heard that right. Ecuagenera sells neotropical blueberries. The Atlanta Botanical Garden is famous for them, so obviously I had to grab some. Biggest regret of the day? I went back for this insane Magnificum and it was gone. If you bought it, please sell me a piece. I am begging. Meanwhile, Nick scored the wildest bromeliad ever. It looked more like an orchid with black flowers. Want to see it? You'll have to ask him because, like an amateur, I didn't take a single photo. Alright, it's time to check out these insane orchid displays before we head on over to the conservatory. This one, easily one of my favorites. It's simple, super aesthetic, but where's the actual plant? I meant to look behind the display to find it, but guess what? I totally forgot. Now, this masterpiece, built by the Atlanta Orchid Society. Nick was part of the setup, and it took them 2 whole days. One day to build the tables, and another to arrange every single plant and perfect the final touches. And let me tell you, I found my new favorite orchid here. Of course, it's extremely difficult to grow where I live, which is why I've never seen it before. But look at these colors. The camera doesn't even do it justice. It was so vibrant, I'm actually obsessed. While I was filming, the judges were already pulling plants down to officially score them. Unlike air raid shows where the crowd picks the winners, orchid shows have professional accredited judges who follow strict rule books. They score plants based on size, quality, shape, color, and overall health. And get this, it's just like grade school. Each plant can score up to 100 points. I got curious about what it takes to become an accredited judge, and oh man, the list is long. Just to move from a student judge to an associate judge, you need 36 hours of education, 24 judged orchid shows within 5 years, a color perception screening, because you better know your colors, and a nomination just to move to the next level. And that's only some of the qualifications. It's intense. If you want to see the full list of qualifications, I'll drop the link in the description. Alright, we've seen the show, now it's time for the grand finale. Let's head inside the Orchid Conservatory and check out the rarest, wildest orchids you'll probably never see in a plant shop. But before we step inside, Nick and I got completely sidetracked by these insane mirror ball displays. Seriously, how did they even make these? We stood there for way too long trying to figure it out. Oh, and if you missed the Orchid Show, don't worry, you can still catch Orchid Days until April 13th. But be warned, I have never seen the gardens this packed. It was wall-to-wall people, making it nearly impossible to walk around, let alone film. We're gonna have to jump around a bit. Let's dive in.
What is this one called again?
Coryanthes, bucket orchid, and Coryhopia are the most alien-esque orchids ever. I mean, they just looked so mutated and weird and funky in every way, and I adore them. They're so weird.
Does the bug go in through the front and come out the back?
They have a really complex pollination mechanism. So what essentially happens, this is a good example. You see those little nodules right there? So that drips sap or nectar down into the bucket, and you can see it's filling up.
Do.
And that lures in Euglossean bees, and they get stuck down in there. If you look at the back of the flower, right there's an opening. And that's the only way that they can actually get out, because it's too slick on the inside for them to crawl out. So they struggle along and they try and push their way through this, and it's a really tight opening. So when they finally do, it triggers the polinium and it slaps them in the back and sticks to them. Then they fly off and do it again somewhere else and pollinate the new flower.
That's so cool.
They're really awesome. Really, really cool.
So this does it kind of backwards. That's so cool.
I'm not sure if it was because we were filming or because Nick is just an absolute orchid genius, but people kept coming up to listen and chat with him. I just stepped back and let him geek out with fellow orchid lovers. It was like watching a live TED Talk on orchids.
What's going on? Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
There you go.
All
right, now, for the pleasure of doing that, you get it.
It stinks.
It's Bulbaphyllum echinolabium. Yeah, it's famous for having a manured fragrance.
Okay, I gotta smell it.
I call him Mr. Stinky.
No, most of the time it's not skunky. Like sometimes it's like dead animals.
I inhaled too much.
The
Well,
cool thing about F1 hybrids with this is that it loses that awful fragrance.
when?
So you take that, you hybridize it with another Bulbaphyllum, it doesn't smell bad anymore.
That's like the frogs.
Oh, wow.
Poisonous anymore.
Yeah.
It like moves. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that,
Go in the water, we're good.
see it moving?
Mm-hmm. It looks like it's
That's the
talking.
attractor.
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
I haven't really been here since they put in these new things, so I haven't looked at them too much.
They've got really pretty, interesting white orchid flowers.
Oh, that's an Angraecum. That's another Madagascar native.
Really?
Yeah. Angraecoids. I think Angraecoids are endemic to Madagascar and some in Africa.
Something. Oh, yeah. Something smells really good over here, too. That thing is huge. I was expecting it to be on the wall.
But do you see why I'm worried about what am I going to do with this over time?
Has theirs ever bloomed?
Never.
Is
I
it?
think it's about blooming size, because look at the size of these pseudobulbs. Mine's it's about there. So I'm hoping this spring, when it puts out a new flush of growth, that I'll finally get a bloom, and then I'll find a new home for it. I was talking to Edison about another kind of orchid called an Anguloa, that those will be in the high elevation house. They're amazing. The tulip orchids, and they're called that because they literally look like tulips.
I love tulips.
And I used to have every species of Anguloa, but at that time my grow room was just 2 tables, and it took up the entire grow room.
I think you've started getting me into orchids, if I'm going to be honest.
I mean, there's just like endless amounts. I don't actually even know what the heck this one is.
That's beautiful.
It's so cool.
Does it have a smell?
It's got a weird smell.
A weird smell.
I don't know if it's a good one.
That is a weird smell. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not good either, though.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't even know what genus that is.
Is there a tag on it? Let's see one. Oh, yeah. Here we go. It is...
Difficult to read.
Yeah. Probably because it was backwards, that's why. Guess roaches?
Oh, Gastrorchis? Is that it?
Sure. I can't read the last word. Lutea. From Andy's Orchids.
Of course it's Andes. Andes is awesome. Is that a like Peperomia? Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Little
It's a,
thing just crawling along.
the little turtle. String of turtles.
That's, yeah.
Actually, have one in one of my isopod terrariums.
Oh.
It grows very well in there. For a long time I couldn't keep them, and I realized they just aren't happy in the plant room. They're happier upstairs or in a terrarium. Make that make sense.
Yeah, how are the isopods doing?
Great. The ones you have given me have been booming. I started giving them Bug Burger and something else. For the longest, I'm not buying anything expensive food for them or anything. Look how big that is too.
That's a Sobralia.
I was like, I'm not buying them expensive food or anything. And then I did it because it was on sale at PetSmart. My brother has a discount code. And now I'm like, man, I should have did this, but also maybe not, because then I'm going to have millions of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My harder ones, like the opals and what are those? Dachshund. Those are the ones that I give it to, the ones that are
super expensive. They're cool. I used to
Overhyped.
more of those, and then I
like
just,
Fragapedia.
got out of them.
I think that's the most unusual flower.
They are something else.
That is insane.
Those Bulbaphyllum I love, but they tend to ramble. I mean, you can see this one's literally crawling out of the pot.
For some reason, Nick's microphone just refused to cooperate. I have no idea why. These mics are practically brand new, and funny enough, out of all the times I've used them, the only 2 failures I've ever had were with him. I swear, my mics must have a personal vendetta against him. So from here on out, I'll be switching between voiceovers and whatever audio I manage to salvage. Bear with me.
I have some like really cool pictures of you like smelling stuff and
That's a great example of why I stopped growing Bulbaphyllum. Look up. That's a Bulbaphyllum.
wow.
One plant. They're just huge.
Look at this.
Okay, let me slide back.
That's another, if I had a whole greenhouse just for bulbos, I would grow them. Bulbaphyllum graveolens, which probably smells horrible. It's not terrible.
Ew.
It's not
No,
good.
thank you.
Good, but not
The worst thing
offensively
ever.
bad. Dendrobium, Sina. This is a really difficult plant to keep alive. I think the species is Senile.
It's super fuzzy. Like,
I've never tried growing it, but I've heard it's difficult.
is it soft?
A little bit.
Oh, this is another weird one.
I don't remember the genus name, but that's another one that I've heard just has really weird smell. That's it, yeah. Anchistrochilus rothschildianus. That's one I've wanted to grow for a long, long time. Oh, look at the little flower spike. Kind of fuzzy on the outside. It's so weird. It's such a cool thing. And that's the Cataly. That's gonna smell amazing.
And Nick was right. This flower smelled so sweet, almost like a honey cinnamon latte. It's from the tropical regions of New Guinea and surrounding islands and requires patience, as it can take up to a few years to get large enough to flower and requires temperatures to drop at night in order to do so.
There's like endless amounts. There's such a huge variety. You could just grow everything. Another angraecoid. These smell really good at night. That might be a Jumelia.
I like how it grows.
Doesn't say.
It's right there.
Oh my god. Oh, it's hiding from me. Yep. Major. That makes sense because it's the huge flowers.
I was completely overwhelmed by the sheer beauty around me. I got so caught up in the moment that I forgot to go back and snap photos of the next few orchids tags. So if anyone watching recognizes these orchids, drop their name in the comments. Let's see if we can get these beauties identified for the newer orchid lovers, like me.
That flower spike is like gonna eventually get knocked off.
Yeah, it's living on the edge. Look how tiny the plant is. It's so little.
The spike is bigger than it.
I have no idea what that is.
Interesting looking.
I actually don't even know what I'm looking at. Oh, I see it. Okay, the flowers are so close together. I couldn't tell what was what. So this is the lip right there. That's the lip. And then the column is right there. So, I mean, they're literally growing just like smashed together like that. I have no clue what that is. Listrostachys pertusa? That's neat. Sorry. This is the Atlanta Botanical Garden's acquisition tag. It's got the family, it's got the species. So Oncidium lelui. I don't know how that one's pronounced, but then it also has where it came from. This one came from Hoosier Orchid Company. And Hoosier's gone now. It doesn't exist. But one of my very good friends called Leon Glissenstein, who was kind of a mentor in sorts when I started first growing Habaneria, He was one of the owners of Hoosier.
Oh.
And so once they dissolved it, Leon kind of went his separate way and started growing all these habenaria. And then that's where I met him. And to this day, he's still growing them and doing that all on his own. But the fact that this tag is still here and that the plant came from Hoosier is so cool.
It is.
Oh, it's this one. I didn't even realize that. There's the spike. It's coming out from way over here. It's got, you know, it's like history behind the plant. That's so cool. I'm really glad I saw that. Bulbaphyllum is the largest genus of orchids.
Yeah.
Like
That's a pretty one,
2,600
too.
something
That
species.
isn't
That's
that
insane.
That we can maybe get that. He's young enough.
Yeah.
Do you want me to try?
Can you see what it is?
Yeah.
A lot of people can see.
From here?
Yeah. That's some kind of daisy chain one.
You swim?
Make a yawn.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know all the names anymore. But it is pretty.
Wouldn't that like that?
Love that.
I like Bulbaphyllum when they want to say.
They're one of my favorites.
It is. It's a great
You look at you. Did you see the Giants?
With a massive crowd gathering here, it got insanely noisy, so I decided to cut the audio. But here's what you need to know. The volunteer botanist, Steve, told us that this Bulbaphyllum actually flowered just a few weeks ago, and get this, something in the conservatory managed to pollinate it. Normally, if an employee had done it, there'd be an orange tag marking it. Now, most botanical gardens focus on conservation, so they likely won't grow these seeds out since they don't know the father plant. But can you imagine what could come from this? There are hundreds of different orchids in here that could be the father plant. If they ever did grow them out, the results would be a total mystery. A one-of-a-kind orchid hybrid created by nature itself. How cool is that? Orchids are the largest and most diverse family of flowering plants on the planet. They're native to every continent on Earth, except Antarctica, rightfully so. And if you factor in all the crosses you can make with each species, you have endless amounts. And how orchid hybrids are named is different than most any other plant hybrid. When two aroid species are crossed, any unique plants are selected and given a name. Think of Anthurium Michelle or Anthurium Ace of Spades. That way, when you buy a plant with that name, you know exactly what you're getting. With orchids, it's completely different. Whoever comes up with the cross first names the entire batch of seedlings one collective name. It doesn't matter if the seedlings all look different. If anyone else makes the same exact cross, even with two different parents, they also have to use the same name. Even in orchids, hybrids can have different characteristics among plants. So if you like the look of a specific hybrid, you have to get a cutting of that plant, and they're expensive. Another weird thing about orchid hybrids is the father name comes first in the cross, and then the mother plant. This is called the Grex system. With most other plants, the mother's name is first on the list, and then the father's. And while orchids come in all shapes and sizes, they also grow in some seriously unexpected places. When you think of orchids, you probably picture them clinging to tree branches in a lush tropical jungle. And you'd be right. Most orchids are epiphytic, meaning they grow on trees instead of in soil. But not all orchids stick to the trees. Some are terrestrial, growing right in the ground. And these ground-dwelling orchids aren't just found in humid rainforests. They've adapted to wildly different environments. We're talking harsh, arid deserts in Africa, freezing mountain slopes in China, and even right along creek banks in North Carolina. In fact, you probably have orchids growing somewhere near you, even if you've never noticed them before. Next time you're outside, take a closer look at the plants around you. you might just stumble upon a hidden orchid in the wild. The more I dive into the world of orchids, the more I understand why Nick is absolutely obsessed. They're not just beautiful, they're unusual, complex, and full of secrets waiting to be uncovered.
Do you like the picture of the vanilla flower?
Yes.
Let's go.
I'll be back for the mic, Nick.
Oh, you should do minis.
Atlanta Botanical Garden hosted a Vanilla Sunday where visitors got to see the vanilla orchid in bloom, learn how vanilla is made, and even try some delicious vanilla-based recipes. I had no idea how long a vanilla bloom lasted. Spoiler, just one day. But I spotted the mature plant tucked away on the back wall and was trying to see if it was still there. Steve must have laser vision because he immediately noticed me eyeing it and asked if I wanted a closer look. I don't know who was more excited, me or Nick. Nick had been deep in conversation with fellow orchid collectors, but literally dropped everything and raced over the second I told him what was happening. Once we found the flower, we scrambled to find the perfect angle, standing on ledges, comparing phone cameras. It was like a mini photo competition. For centuries, vanilla was exclusive to its native range in Mexico and Central America because no one outside of the region could figure out how to pollinate it. But that all changed when Edmund Albius, a 12-year-old enslaved child, discovered how to hand pollinate the flowers using a small stick or a blade of grass. That one discovery by Edmund is the only reason we can enjoy vanilla worldwide today. Now, 80% of the world's vanilla comes from Madagascar, but because pollination is still done by hand, it remains the second most expensive spice in the world. Meanwhile, cheaper synthetic vanilla is made from petrochemicals, or, get this, wood pulp, a byproduct of the paper industry. I know, that's crazy, right? Nick and I are both growing vanilla, but let's just say his is way larger than mine, overtaking a tomato cage, while mine is a single strand, doing its best. The bad news, they need to be 30 foot long to bloom. I thought I had a few years left, but Nick totally crushed my dreams when he casually mentioned they almost never bloom indoors. Thanks, Nick. Nick made an awesome video about vanilla. If you want to learn more, I'll link it in the description.
These are another. This is a Phragmipedium. They like really wet feet, so you can see down here. They have a pond right there, and so they're just kind of growing on the edge of the pond in these pots. And
Nick shared a great tip. Many collectors successfully grow this orchid indoors by placing their pots in dishes filled with water and never letting it dry out. Since Nick lets his plants dry out, it doesn't work well for him. And honestly, it probably wouldn't work well for me either. Unless I built a pond in the basement or finally set up a greenhouse in the backyard. Then again, the second I do that, I'll probably find my perfect house in Florida. One of the biggest surprises for me, this self-heading philodendron growing up the leg of a pergola. Most people never attach them to poles because of their compact growth, but seeing this one thriving and growing larger leaves was proof that it works. Look at it. It's bursting with color and covered in bright, happy inflorescence. Have you tried growing your self-heading phyllos on a pole? I think I might just try it. This philodendron wasn't the only aroid in the Orchid Conservatory. Nick and I geeked out over this Anthurium clarinervum covered in tons of inflorescence, which gave me the perfect chance to show off my expertise in Anthurium pollination. While some Anthuriums form berries within a few months, clarinervum takes up to 2 years. And here's something crazy I just learned. Pure clarinervum only produce 1 seed per berry. Barry shared this fact with me last week, and now I get to pass that information to Nick. For those reasons, it's no wonder why this plant is one of the most common tissue-cultured anthuriums out right now. But if you don't like tissue-cultured plants, clarinervum self-pollinates, which means there are also seed-grown versions out there. And because they self-pollinate, you hardly ever see clarinervum hybrids, at least not in the same way you see crystal hybrids. This whole conversation with Nick was a great reminder that even experts are always learning. No matter how much experience we have, we can always pick up new knowledge from each other.
What is this thing? Is that coming from the orchid?
Oh, that is... Wow. That's a huge epidendrum something. That's the same one, I think, that we saw earlier, but a much larger one. I've never even noticed. I always thought that was some sort of Cattleya. Oh, there's a staghorn up there, too. I didn't see that. Been here a million times.
Oh, I wanted to see the flowers over here real quick. Oh, what have they got on this now? It's backwards. Anthurium radicans. A true radicans. I'm just like, something smells everywhere I step.
Yeah, you gotta search. It's like, where is it?
I wish I could somehow bottle up the scent of this place. The entire greenhouse smelled like a luxury perfume store.
Gosh, I couldn't think the name of this. Saved my life, really. Lilia anceps. A hybrid with it, and I was telling someone about it, and I just couldn't think of the word anceps.
Look how pretty that is.
One of the Atlanta Orchid Society members grows tons of begonia.
That's
So he's got a
awesome.
greenhouse. Yeah,
Started to like those too.
they are green. Yeah. He's got a greenhouse, and all the orchids are up top that need higher light, and then he's got a layer of lower light orchids beneath that, and then under the bench, filled with hundreds of begonias.
They're pretty easy to pollinate.
Yeah.
They're pretty fun too. I didn't think that it worked, and I had just a bunch of seeds in the bottom of a like tub, and I forgot about it. Put it under a shelf, and like 6 months later I opened it up and there was like 5 in there. I was like, oh my
I think it's smelling right now. Dendrochilum have some of the most offensive smells of any orchid, in my opinion. You know, that's the biochemist in me, just always being interested in secondary metabolism.
Over the next 10 minutes, Nick and I kept bouncing between conversations as people kept stopping us to chat. First, someone asked if we were scuba divers, and then 2 ladies stopped us all because of the thing I was carrying around. This? It's my phone rig stabilizer. Without it, this video would be a shaky disaster because my hands shake like 75% of the time. I do own a fancy electric gimbal, but honestly, this one is so much easier when jumping between people and plants. Somewhere between showing off my rig and chasing orchids with Nick, it hit me. This is why I love hanging out with him. He's not just another collector. Nick reminds me of the OG growers, my mentors, the ones who see plants as so much more than something to possess. Plants aren't just pretty, they're powerful. They interact with the world using scent, shape, texture, even taste. Every time I talk to Dr. Block, we end up deep diving into how plants literally engage our senses. I've got to make a video on that with him soon. If you've seen the berry video, we geeked out over all of this, the weird shapes, wild smells, and the unique tastes. And Nick, he's the same exact way. I'm not sure if it's a generational thing or something that comes with experience, but most collectors my age tend to focus on the looks. Nick is one of the only younger growers I've met who truly gets how plants interact with the world around them, just like my mentors do. There's this realization, plants are master communicators. They evolved to attract us and the wildlife, to help them survive and spread. They've been playing the long game, and we've been a part of that plan. And honestly, that gives me a whole new respect for every plant I see. Each one is unique. each one has a story. Each one has its own way to attract or repel the world around it. Let's see if you get it. Drop your favorite plant in the comments and how it engages the rest of the world.
It's all mostly color, but there's just so much more to it.
You have one that looks similar to that.
Yeah, these are. I want to say Solanthi. I don't even think that's. Oh, okay, yeah, it is. It is Solanthi. Whoa, wait, actually, look at the leaves on that. Wow, that's cool. That's like striated. Wow.
That's cute.
Out of Vietnam. There are a lot of Solanthis that are cold hardy. Actually grow like hybrids you can grow in Georgia, just in the ground. And these are all Spathoglottis, I think. Another really cool one.
Look at the colors on this leaf. It matches the flower, which is from a completely different plant.
So cool.
It's like
I don't know what that is either.
lavender purple. It actually has a flower.
Yeah.
We saw that at the same time. What is that?
Oh, that's neat.
Unfortunately, our time in the Orchid Conservatory has come to an end, but what a ride! Huge shout out to Nick for spending over an hour deep diving into the world of orchids with us. This guy is a walking orchid encyclopedia, so make sure to check out his socials. But don't go anywhere just yet. Next week, we're exploring even more jaw-dropping orchids and exotic plants at the Atlanta Botanical Gardens. Nick might even make another appearance. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss it. Can't wait until next week. Dive into our tours playlist to see Nick's personal collection, our last visit at ABG, and so many other insane plant adventures. Where should we tour next? Drop your dream plant destination in the comments. I'm traveling this year and I might just make it happen. And hey, I'm always looking to make these videos even better, so tell me, what did you love about this one? What could be better? Let me know in the comments below. Bye!